sometimes you gotta plan out your watercolor paintings. What up friends, Liron here. Thank you for joining me in another video. Today I want to talk to you about a very interesting topic of properly planning your watercolor paintings. Now I'm a very impatient person at times, especially when it comes to long processes of creation, which is why, by the way, I love pen. I love the immediacy of just bam bam, putting a few lines, you get the ink, you don't need to slowly build it up using pencil or any of that things. I'm gonna close the windows, there's a bit of noise. So anyway, in today's video, I want to show you one painting for which I actually took the planning process very seriously and the result that I got. And I'm really pleased with it because it's something I don't usually do, and it really just showed me the power of it. Now, after I did this one, I did it a few other times, and it's not like if you plan out a painting properly, it's guaranteed to turn out the way you want, but it definitely increases the odds of it. And after doing it a few times of just properly planning and doing the necessary preparations to make sure I'm ready to paint. So after doing it a few times, I really started wondering how I even achieved some successes when I just went for it directly. And of course, there is some merit to just immediately painting what you see, maybe using, of course, a minimal sketch, but there is some merit to the spontaneity of less preparation at times. But I think overall, if you can prepare, and if it's a painting that you want to learn more from and you want to really exert yourself, I think in a good way, exert some effort into it, I think it can be a really, really, really good idea to properly prepare. And I'm going to show you exactly how I did it here. So let's change the angle and let's look at what I've done. So as always, let me open up my trusty Moleskine. And let's look at this. I already have quite a few sketches here actually. But anyway, this is the painting I wanted to present. Some of you have seen it. I posted it in quite a few places actually, on Instagram and on Wet Canvas, the watercolor forum, and on Reddit if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, there's a lot of things that are working here and some things aren't working here. We'll get to that in a second. But what I want to talk to you about is this. All the preparation. So there's actually something previous here. Let me zoom in just a tiny bit. Okay, so this is the preparatory sketch I started with this painting. So I basically looked at the reference image and I just tried to figure out where I want to put everything. Started here with the structure and the church in the middle, added the tree. The reference image isn't so relevant to this process. I just want to go over what I actually did. By the way, I now got it. I'm so zoomed in that if I flail my finger everywhere, it's gonna be really annoying. So I'm gonna take out my hands off the frame and not do it. So anyway, yeah, started here with the church in the middle. There's the winding road on the right. There's the big massive tree on the left. And these are like the main components, and the mountains in the background, or the clouds, or whatever it was. Now I wasn't 100% pleased with this one, with the composition. So let me flip over to the next page and I'll show you what I did. So this is the next preparatory sketch I did, and I even wrote here a note to myself, good proportions, because this one had the exact proportions I wanted. This one I got to be exactly like I wanted it to be. And so I started with the church in the middle. I took into consideration leaving enough space for the winding road here at the bottom. And then once I was pleased with the composition and the perspective and everything else, I decided to go ahead and put in the values. Okay, so this was just a drawing, and some of you have seen this one also in my Instagram post. So yeah, this was just a drawing. I added the values, taking into consideration really the main shapes. So we have the mountains, and the background is significantly darker than the church itself. And the tree also is very dark, which brings it to the front. There's the fields here, and green when it's under strong sunlight can be super misleading because it looks bright, but it's actually sometimes very dark. So when compared to this area of the sky, it was very dark. So I wanted to get that darkness in here. The winding road was a little lighter. There are a few trees here on the right. Once I was pleased with it, I still wanted to try out something else. So let me show you. I just wanted to create another sketch, maybe a little larger, a little more accurate. The funny thing is, this felt like a step back. And so I just decided to disregard this one and sort of just use the other one I just showed you. And by the way, for these sketches, each one maybe took about 10 minutes, I think, or maybe even less, maybe around 8 minutes. It's relatively small, as you can see, like this is the length of my finger. So they are small, which helps make them much quicker, but they teach you so much. And I find that always after I finish a painting, I go, oh, if I would notice this, if I would notice that, I would make it much better. So I prefer to make these mistakes on the sketches and then learn already for the part when I'm actually painting. Okay, now, once I was pleased with this, I just wanted to try and draw the zoomed in components of this, and please ignore all the paint. I will explain that in a moment. But the tree here, the tree had a really, and let me show you for a moment. The tree is a massive here, is really massive, and it felt like the kind of tree that has all of the leaves sort of falling down, all of the branches falling down. And this is actually not the trunk. The trunk is not so huge. It's just tons of leaves falling down. And you'll see how it works in the final painting in a moment. But yeah, I just wanted to sort of focus on some of the components and try and sketch them out. So I did the tree. I also did this small front part of the church. I wanted to kind of make sure I get how the roof interacts with the walls and all of that good stuff. That's the name of the church, I guess, San Pancratius. It's in Dürnfeld in Austria. Based on a picture I found on Wikimedia Commons. I will put a link to the original in the description box, okay? I will put a link to it, so check it out. Yeah, so once I was pleased with it, and let me zoom out a bit. So once I was pleased with that, I decided to sort of do a quick colors test, just to see what types of colors will work. Something very minimal. I don't remember, I believe, yeah, it's this one. So I knew the values I want to use, and now I wanted to learn what colors would work. So mainly for the skies, I used the French ultramarine. I used a lot of sap green in mixture with some other things like the perylene red. For the trees that are closer, I used sap green more dulled out with the French ultramarine in the background to make the feeling, to give the feeling of depth. And yeah, just tested out quite a few of them. What you see here is not me testing paints, actually. It's me testing them while painting. What you see here is the preparation. Here it was the preparation process. It's not really a process, it's just me trying out some things, just so that I know what 3 or 4 or 5 paints I want to use for the final painting. So let's now move on to the final painting and just take a look at some stuff here that I think are working really well, and it's mostly thanks to the preparation. So first off, the drawing is very accurate, and I do find that in scenes that are a little more complex, this isn't necessarily that complex, but I feel that in scenes that are a little more complex and there's a lot of things to simplify and to generalize, I tend to struggle quite a bit when it comes to the drawing, meaning, and let me zoom out just a bit more. So I tend to struggle sometimes with the drawing, and let me explain why, because it's not always visible in the final product. My final drawings, I think I love them. They turn out really, usually as just exactly like I want them to. But I sometimes find one detail that I did wrong, or something that I just misplaced, and I see it, and sometimes people can see it too. And so with this, the drawing really helped. I really learned the shape of this. There are these two parts of the walls that are beveled outside, and so they are lighter. We have these two entrances. This one has a square shape, and this one has a round shape, but it's a bit hard to see here. Yeah, so the drawing is really good, I think. It's on point. Everything is the way I wanted it to be. So that's the drawing. Second, the composition. I think it really works well here. You have the church that's the center of attention. You have the tree that's another point of focus. And you have all the trees here on the right that just hint at the winding road and all of the area on the right. They just fill it up in a way that's easy to understand. Then we have the large shape of the it's really unclear in the reference in the beginning, at least for me. It was unclear if it's mountains or sort of the difference between the clouds. There is here some greener fields, yeah, just this is it in terms of the drawing. And I added some clouds, of course, just to indicate their shape. Now, in terms of the values and the sense of depth here, this is something that I think also works well, because you get some very strong, sharp contrasts here on the church, on the tree, on the bushes here, on the road, on the fence, the wall here, everything else. But this layer of the mountains in the background, you can really feel it being pushed back. Another thing that helps it is the highlights. But anyway, yeah, it's less contrasted. It's more like you see all these strong contrasts in the tree. You don't get that in the background. It's just not there. There's a gradual change relatively. The one thing I'm not really pleased with in terms of the background is it was really hard for me for some weird reason to get an even wash. I don't know why, because I had a very wet wash, but I suspect that because it was from, first I did the sky all the way to the bottom, and then I did this wash. So I think the moleskin paper had a hard time sort of accepting that additional paint, and it maybe reactivated the layer underneath. So that sucked a bit, but yeah, it doesn't really matter. Luckily, it's the background. Okay, so yeah, that's in terms of this. Now, the church itself, there is one thing that's really confusing here, and it's this roof. This roof is supposed to be as dark as this. It shouldn't have all these weird stains in it. It's just me not being able, again, to get an even wash. That's all it is. Because this one's supposed to be as dark as this and just stay like that. But other than that, I think it's clear where the light source is. It comes from here. This is why you get this strong shadow coming from the corner of the roof. But also this entire area is more shaded than the area on the right. Same here. It's a little more shaded, and then you have the shadow of the roof coming in, and also this small roof here. And also these small sharp shadows at the top parts of the windows, and also these shadows on the front side of these beveled areas, and also the right side of the fence. One thing, so that's in terms of values, it works really well. You have all the dark ones on this layer, all the very soft and light ones on the background, still contrasting nicely with the lit parts. Now I want to talk about the colors, which are actually, I think, one of the things that that work here the best, which is something very subtle, but this is what I think makes it work. And so I didn't really do anything differently other than prepare a bit more. Okay, I usually know the color schemes or the color selections I'm gonna use, and I usually like them, but I think here it still looks much better. And the reason why is that there's really first of all, the color's purity is for the most part preserved, meaning you can feel how green this is, you can feel how brown this is, you can feel the green in the background, you can feel this warmer green here. The colors are very clear. The top parts, the shingles sort of on the wall are very clear. So yeah, it's just very clear. It's just the colors work in a good way. Now, I also think there is a good aerial perspective in terms of everything close to us is strong and more vibrant and a bit warmer around the bottom. The trees here also are a bit warmer, the road here, as opposed to the background, which is much cooler. Okay, so that's another thing that works. I also like, okay, the grass here. And this is something I usually don't get the way I want it to look, but just the hints of the grass blades work. All the red dots that I put in wet in the beginning and then wet on dry, they just work. They just convey what I wanted them to convey. So really, I can't say for sure that I can say for certain that I didn't plan all of this in the preparation. All I did was study the values mainly and the shapes. A bit of colors, yes, but just a tiny bit. What it did do is give me much more confidence, I think, to use the colors more boldly and to just, I don't know, it just prepared me, okay? And so this is today's tip, if I have to conclude in some way. It's just to, if you can, prepare, and it's really fast. Sometimes all you need is like a few small sketches, each will take 5 to 10 minutes, and you just learn so much. And for me, it's it has been a problem a bit, because I tend to get bored with the same scene, but a sketch is not the same as a painting for me, and so I still sort of, that's my rationalization, to still enjoy both the sketch and the painting. It's two different things. And so yeah, just what I wanted to share today. Also, one last thing that I wanted to mention here is I just wanted to oh yeah, okay, so here, this area, I got confused. Let me zoom in a bit on this area. Yeah, so I remembered there's something else I wanted to say. This entrance, I really like the way it turned out, because I did it wet in the beginning, meaning I put down that wash of the shadow coming from this small roof, and then inside I sort of poured in that strong sort of burnt sienna sepia. I don't remember exactly what's inside here. And it just spread out really nicely, but then I came back and strengthened the form when the paint was wetter, was drier, sorry. And I just got a bit lucky here, I have to admit, but I'm really pleased with how it turned out. Just in terms of the tree also, if you want to see a zoomed in look at it, I just like the shape, you know, I think it turned out well. I think all the layers in the foreground work well, like the grass blades here, and then under them there's the road, and under that there's some more grass, some highlights in the grass that I just decided to leave in there. What else? Yeah, it just works. The one thing I would change again is this roof. I can glaze over it now, but I just feel like not messing with this. One thing that's really interesting about this scene is that this roof was really dark on the right side as well. Even though it's the side that's exposed to the sunlight, this side was also very dark. I think the reason for that is that the shingles were at an angle, and so what we mostly saw, think about it this way, they are layered. Let me zoom out and I'll explain. So what I think happened was that the shingles, they are layered like this, one on top of the other, like this, like this, like this. So what I think that we saw was mostly the left side of the shingles, and it was in shadow because light came from here. And so I think this is why this side, I hope it makes sense, this is why this side is still significantly darker than it apparently should be. I got some comments about it, but this is what it looks like actually in the reference. But I do think I could maybe light it up just a little bit. So the one thing that really I could improve is the brush technique, brush strokes, getting an even wash. But that's partly due to the moleskin. Some people recommended that I do the very same painting on a good quality paper. I may do that, I don't know yet. But yeah, just a very interesting experience for me in terms of planning it out properly and really getting a result that I want. I feel like I went through the whole process, you know. So anyway, this is it. Let me change the angle again and wrap up this video. Friends, I hope you enjoyed this vid. I hope you learned something new, and I hope I made you consider maybe trying to work a little harder. I just ate a cherry tomato. I hope I just convinced you to try and prepare a little harder for maybe the next painting or the one after, or just to test this out. Trust me, it's really fun, and I had a lot of resistance to doing it because it's like, I don't know if I want to put in all that work beforehand. But it pays off, really. It can pay off if you do it properly and if you get into the right mindset while painting too, and you're kind of getting maybe a bit lucky as well, because it's like a combination of a lot of things. So anyway, this is it, time to wrap up. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, new video every single day. And also follow me on Instagram and Snapchat, where I share live the things I'm doing, and it's really cool, really fun. You can also see their finished paintings and things like this. So anyway, this is it. I will see you again tomorrow.